Gods and goddesses in training, welcome back to the channel. Today I am talking about what is holding you back spiritually. These are 7 reasons that are holding you back in your spiritual progress. I am Uncle Makara, all relations. Let's get started today. So I want you to think of this spiritual path less like this kind of Pokemon tournament of you collecting crystals, sage, and tarot cards. I want you to redirect your focus and understand that authentic, real spirituality is about you getting rid of your blocks, your energetic blocks, your mental blocks, your emotional blocks, etc. They're hidden chains keeping you stuck. And I see a lot of people stuck in this kind of spiritual pattern. They're constantly chasing spirituality, or they're addicted to spirituality. And I honestly think that these are the most important things that are holding people back from their spiritual process. Number 1 is arrogance. This one is the ego's prison because it likes to put on many masks. First of all, you have the I already know person, right? I already know that. I already know that. And then you block your mind away from receiving that wisdom through a new fresh pair of eyes by relying on past conditioning, past intellect, rather than allowing the gnosis to unfold. So growth stops because you've built a wall around your mind. Or it's the spiritual narcissist. You think just because you've done psychedelics, read a lot of spiritual books, or you've had like different mystical visions that you somehow that makes you above others. And you get caught up in just flexing, spiritual flexing, instead of flowing. And of course, enmeshed in with that, it's very common to see the lone wolf syndrome. I've been a part of it. I'm slowly healing myself as I found this tribe on Telegram, and we're building it up slowly to understand and bring in like-minded shamans, individuals that are biohackers of the new world, mind, body, spirit hackers of the new world, But yeah, I don't need help. I can do it all by myself. Understand that your refusal to receive is a hidden form of resistance for you. So arrogance isn't pride, it's actually insecurity wearing a different cloak. Whereas insecurity feels like everybody's better than me, arrogance is like I'm better than everyone. It's the mind trying to protect itself from change. If you can't stay open in that process, you won't go through it. You gotta break through it. Next is, I think, something that's very important, which is playing small. Or another way to say this would be the fear of discomfort. So most people are terrified of their own power. They dim their light because they make others squirm. And they avoid speaking the truth because it might ruffle some feathers. They silence themselves not to offend anyone. They shrink their own personalities down because they think that it's being safer. And they hide. Well, because stepping up would imply taking responsibility, which has real consequences. However, as I've understood it, the more I shrink my power down and I use this spiritual bypassing, the more suffering I will create. The more you constrict yourself, the more suffering you create. The more you feel expansive, limitless, the more greatness you exude. The third thing is like the attachment to the past. I think this is a big one. A lot of people, they have traumas or big incidences or different mystical visions and things like this, or they wear their traumas like a badge of honor of some kind. They let their past define them, right? I have trust issues, I was abandoned, I grew up poor, yeah, but I got hurt before, all of these ways in which the past becomes almost like a wall for the future because it scares the potentiality, right? What if this may happen again? This is what the mind loves to do. It plays in mental scenarios, right? It plays in this vague, amorphous, etheric mental realm, the air element. The moment you stop clinging to these old wounds, old identities, and you start to reframe them, you find a better backstory for yourself. You realize something. You choose who you are now. Not your past, not your memories, but you, really you. Rupert Sheldrake, he believed that even objects have a memory. Okay, very interesting concepts there. The next one we have is fear of the unknown. The mind has an addiction to control. Most people would stay in a painful, predictable life rather than step into the unknown. Why? Because that's where transformation happens. You can't flow if you need certainty. You can't evolve if you're clinging to control. You can't meet your higher self if you're clinging to your current self. So surrender is real strength. It's knowing that I don't see the whole path. And so I'm gonna trust in my next step, and the path will slowly form beneath your feet. Next is the comfort trap, the sedation of your spirit. Endless scrolling, cheap dopamine hits, overthinking instead of doing. Comfort really kills the soul. I don't know if you guys know this. It makes you think that this is enough when your spirit knows that you were meant for more. Next is the power leak, the disconnection from source. I see this quite a lot. People who are either atheists or agnostic or at least they're not spiritual because they have a very rational mind. Also, they're walking around kind of like disconnected wires, like their mind, body, spirit is not harmonious. It's not coherent. They don't listen to their own soul. They don't breathe deeply. And they just ignore the flow that's speaking to them. So spirituality isn't meditation, it's alignment. You're so tapped into the Tao that you move with it, not against it. And finally, I would say the last chain of yours to break is seeking validation. Have you seen someone who's so obsessed with what others think that they just stop living? We were talking about the greatest shadow in our podcast yesterday. Go check that out. The fear of living fully. You post what gets likes rather than what's real. You dress for approval. You talk in a way that feels like it's acceptable. But here's the thing, when you crave validation, it's almost like it feels like you're selling your soul, man. I don't know what it is about that. But when you let go of this external approval, you will cherish the authentic freedom again. The only way forward is to burn all your illusions from now on. Join our path working. You can keep looping, keep comfortable. You can even ignore this video, ignore this message today. But I know the real ones are gonna face it. Most won't, but the few that will, they hear this message, they understand what needs to be done now. They'll be unstoppable. Let's get it. Upward spiral, gang. May we never be the same again. To infinity and beyond. Let's get it. See you on the other side. Let's get it. Boom. Osa.